What's going on, everybody? Brad and Greta with Parenting with the Zudes podcast. Welcome back. We're super glad you're here. And on this episode, we have a special guest again, Miss Aubrey, born 2 weeks ago. This is baby number 8 for us. And in this video, we're going to tell you how to handle your toddler or older children when baby comes home, how to fight that jealousy, what to do, how to react, and all that kind of good stuff. So stay tuned. And by the way, if you're listening to this on the podcast, you can head over to the YouTube channel where you can actually see us. Hi. See Miss Aubrey right here in person. And for those of you on YouTube, don't forget to drop a like and a subscribe. It means the world to us. And we're going to help you guys become better parents, because that's what we do here.
Yeah. You can probably hear her on the, like...
it's going to be like
a...
like a scary movie, you know, like you're about to die.
You hear that Patsy going, it's time to eat again. So she's sucking pretty hard. Anyway.
So it's going to be a short podcast is what you're saying.
We'll see how far we make it. I'm trying to jiggle it out here.
So bring in baby number 2, or in our case, baby number 8.
Yeah.
So home from the hospital.
This is
Sibling Rivalry.
Yeah, you've got, boy, there are so many opinions on this topic and of toddlers and how to treat them or what they might be feeling. And, you know, a lot of times I think a common age is 2 years old, you know, to have your kids around 2 to 3 years apart. So, you know, you've got this toddler running around that can't communicate probably as well as you would like. You know, they're usually not.
They just got done not pooping and peeing their pants.
Well,
like they're finally starting to get along in life, and then this thing comes home.
Yeah, some are still pooping and peeing in the pants, depending on how old your toddler is. But and when you decide to potty train. But I think there's a lot of opinions on how to deal with the toddler, and we have found some things to be very helpful in the process of bringing home 7 children after our first.
Yeah, so, we've seen it thousands of times. We work with thousands of families all over the world inside of our private parenting mastermind groups and all that kind of stuff. So we've seen a lot, and it's pretty interesting.
Yeah. So, okay. So the number one thing I think parents think that when they bring the baby home is they just already expect that there's going to be this jealousy. They already expect that there's this competition. And I think going into it with that mindset, you're setting up your toddler to be jealous. You're setting them up for this competition between them and the baby. So, and you might not even realize that you're putting that on your toddler.
You're alerting them that there's a problem. It's like, oh, well, don't be jealous. You don't have to. It's okay. We still love it. And like you're presupposing.
Right. And you're like inputting those emotions into them when they might not even feel that. And I think that, you know, a lot of people will like do special things for the toddler, or you know, if the baby gets a gift, the toddler gets a gift. And good. I think that is the wrong approach. You know, this time of bringing home a new baby is about the joy of bringing home a new baby. You know, this is not about the toddler. And I think that's where parents go wrong, number one.
Yeah, and especially if it's their second baby. So they've had one baby at home, and they've probably inadvertently created this first child as like center of the universe, right? Sitting on a throne, and now this thing is like dethroning me as center of the world. Yes. So you're starting from such a high or far place from where you need to be from day one.
Yeah. So I think that's a good point to make, that even before baby comes home, I think that you need to have elements already in place of structure and routine and establishing your authority and establishing that obedience in your toddler. Like when you call their name, they need to be coming to you. If you have a boundary of this is blanket time and you need to stay on the blanket, or it's room time and you need to stay in your room, or you need to play over there on the carpet and not come in the kitchen when there needs to be obedience there. And that goes so far in helping with the attitude of I am the center.
Sure.
You know?
Well, and that's a good thought with all of your children. Look, 90% of problems can be avoided before they even start. 90% of problems exist because of a faulty pretense or a presupposition or we didn't lay the groundwork or we didn't have a plan, and it really amplifies things.
Right. So the next step, I think, if you have that established authority before the baby comes, is talking about the baby and talking about what a blessing and a joy it will be when the baby comes home. And I think most parents do that pretty well, but then they just expect that when the baby comes home that there is going to be that jealousy. So we just need to continue on that path of, let's be joyful together about the baby. And we don't have to focus on, oh, poor you, I know mommy can't spend so much time with you now. And
yeah, I'm sorry that I debunked you off your throne. I'm going to put you back on here in a little bit, right?
Yeah.
And then it's like this and that's not the goal. The goal is
Right.
no one's in the center, right?
Right. So just continuing that talk of that positive talk of this, we are joyful together. This is a family thing, and we are joyful for this new blessing. So then, you bring baby home, and even if you've done all these things right, there is probably going to be some disobedience, some acting out, because it is new and different. And you probably, as parents, are tired, and you might not be in your full routine. You might, be lax on naps and blah, 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 blah. You got visitors coming and whatever. So things might just be a little bit different, which triggers a lot of things in toddlers. Now, kids thrive on routine. They
Sure.
they do so much better when they know what to expect, when they have some stability. So I think that one of the main things that you can do is to keep your routine as much as possible. And that includes nap times for your toddler. Don't give up the nap times. And if you see that all the visitors or all of the other things are making your toddler kind of nuts and crazy, like they're overstimulated or there's been too much TV, okay, take a break and we'll say, you know what? You do blanket time while I feed the baby, and we'll just calm down for a little bit.
Sure.
We'll just all take a break. So inputting some of that structure back into your day, even though it might take a little bit of effort to do that, and you're tired when you have a new baby, and I get it. I totally get it.
We're there now.
Yeah. But just inputting a little bit of that structure back in actually saves you a lot of energy and a lot of emotional stress, because you don't have this toddler running around screaming or crying or throwing fits or whatever, because you've put that structure back into their life. So,
Yep.
So that's, so focusing on the baby, focusing on the joy of the family, inputting back that structure into your day. Third, I would say, is that you need to enter into the battles. If there's a battle, you go for it.
You got to go through it, not around it.
You got to go through it. The only way through or out is through, right? Is that the saying? The only way out is through. And we kind of had that with Thomas a little bit. He came home from staying with some friends. All of our kids went to friends for a couple of days after we had the baby, and he came home and he was so mad at me. He would not talk to me. He would not look at me. It was sad. And your first reaction is to be like, oh, come here, I'm so sorry. Let me snuggle with you a little bit more, and over the next couple of days, we had some battles where he just would not do what I asked him to do. And he's 21 months old. So he's under 2, but we had to enter into some battles. And there was a day where he was in and out of the playpen throwing fits. I'm not going to deal with a fit. So if he starts to throw a fit, he's going to go in the playpen. And he can stay there until he calms down. And so we had some battles that he was in and out of the playpen for quite some time until he could have that self-control. And I have to say, there has been such a sweetness this week since we've been through those battles. I mean, do you see that in him?
Yeah, it's when you go through battles, when you take the time to fix problems the right way and go through things, the sun shines bright on the other side.
It does. He has been so sweet and so affectionate with both of us and with the baby, and he loves her. And he's just so excited to see her all the time. So I know a lot of toddlers, when they see their little sibling that has dethroned them, they get upset and they get angry and they don't like their sibling. But when they know that they're not the center, and they can see the baby in a new light as this really cool
Well,
thing.
and you do phenomenally with all of our children, but juggling now 8 balls in the air and still, from that's what we want from the child's perspective. From our perspective, it's still like, hey, we want to make sure everyone is loved and all those
absolutely.
sorts. So that's kind of speaking from the child's vantage point. But you do a great job making sure everyone's in their right place and feeling loved, and
absolutely.
it's incredible.
I definitely don't want to say, hey, they don't need affection and they don't need love.
Correct.
That is not.
Not under affection and not over affection, right? Just hitting that good sweet spot where everyone's good and feels loved.
Right. And but I think it's the way that you pose it too.
Yep.
It's not, well, I'm going to give you extra attention and time because
Correct.
of your jealousy.
Correct.
Like you have to have that because
Correct.
you've been dethroned. It's, I'm going to love you because you're my child.
You're my son,
and I love you.
That's what I do as mom. Not because I owe you one,
Right. Oh, you scared her.
Oh, sorry, baby girl.
And the other thing, the last thing I do want to say is that when you have, I think the newborn stage is the easiest stage, and because they sleep all the time, and they don't have to sleep in your arms. Like, we literally put Aubrey down to nap, and she pretty much sleeps almost 2 hours out of every 3 hours. So she's up for an hour, maybe a little bit more, and then she goes down to nap. And I have the ability then to spend time with all my other kids, meeting their needs, doing school or reading books or giving hugs or whatever.
Oh man, we're back. We had a little card slip up with like 2 minutes left. We got like the best part, the closing statement. So where were we?
I think we were talking about the baby schedule and how that makes life so much easier. And when you have the baby on the routine, which we teach inside of our courses and in our book, it's so easy. It's just so easy.
Yeah, when you can actually fix toddler problems that don't get compounded, and you have a baby that, that's how Greta's able to do it so well with 8 kids. They're like, oh my gosh, how do you do it with 8 kids? Well, when you have a foundation of baby sleep and then toddler, it's hard, but
8 kids is not easy.
It's doable.
But it is. There is structure and there is routine and there is order to our day.
Yeah, we're not like returning any like that Micah Stouffer gal did, that YouTuber returned her adopted baby, but that's for another podcast. So
yes, so it does make life so much easier, and I highly recommend routines.
Yes.
For your family.
Yes.
So.
All right. Well, hey, thank you guys so much. Really appreciate it. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button. Thank you for downloading the podcast. And again, head on over to YouTube, search the Zudes, subscribe. It would mean the world to us. And we'll see you on the next episode of Parenting with the Zudes.
All right. Bye.
Bye.